yourself.
Hello, my name is Jaine Lindo. I'm the Director of Development and Marketing at Full Steam.
Awesome. And can you share a little bit about what Full Steam does?
Yes, so Full Steam is a STEAM education nonprofit. We provide after-school programs, in-school programs, K through 12, and then we also provide professional learning for educators, so that way they can understand and learn how to implement STEAM curriculum at their schools. And then we also provide tailored STEAM curriculum and just general event support when it comes to community events or if it's STEAM nights at schools or community centers, we provide that support as well.
That's great. And you've been working with Full Steam for several years now, right?
Yeah, so it's been since 2019, I believe. Time flies. So let's call it 6 years. Yeah, it's been six
Yeah.
years since joining. On the development side, just trying to bring the business aspect to it. My friend Chris, he started in North Carolina a year or two before I joined. And then so him, Faith, they started off with camps and providing after school programs in North Carolina. So then I joined, and then after the pandemic is when things really took off here in Hampton Roads, and I led the expansion of it here in Hampton Roads.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Last fall, you were in our first cohort of the Startup Fundamentals Forum that we did and earned your startup certificate through the Academy for Nonprofit Excellence. And I'm just wondering if you can share a little bit about how you got connected with A&E or how you found out about that program offering.
Yes, so it was through Sentara Health. So they are one of our grantors, and then that was one of the benefits of the grant was that they offered, the course for free, which was a blessing. And so I saw it and, was undecided because, just after so many years out of school, I was undecided, but I, took a chance on it and said, wanted to learn some more, and I'm glad I did because definitely learned a lot about the nonprofit side of things and really diving into some components that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. And can you describe a little bit about what the class was like or what the program was like and what you valued about your experience?
Yes, so definitely the time, obviously, catering to, working individuals, being able to have enough time to like get off work and get to the class. And then although it was required to be in person, there was flexibility to when, life happens, couldn't be there in person. We always had that virtual option that we can tap in virtually and still engage, still receive the content, and then have easy access to all of the collateral on the drive. And then just the formatting of it, everything was very clearly separated as far as, okay, we're talking about finance today. That's it. We're talking about, board regulations and board formation, things like that. So that was helpful to just have it in silos to where you really can focus and dive in on a specific topic. So I enjoyed that hybrid format and the flexibility of still being able to join um, even when couldn't be in person.
Yeah. And so this class was initially designed for organizations that were really just getting started, kind of in their infancy. And you brought in an organization that, as you mentioned, has existed for 7 or 8 years now. But how were you able to apply that content to your organization and to affect some change in what and how you saw and perceived the role of Full Steam and what you were doing in the community?
Yes, it was definitely more from a structural perspective, because the day to day, you're doing the work, and things may not be as structural as they should. So it was kind of a reminder of, okay, like these are the things we need to have in place, certain procedures, certain policies, and kind of revisiting just the structure of the whole entity. So that was helpful. And then just learning, some things that need to be done, just paperwork wise, that again, you're just in the motion doing it for so long, and being able to still provide, that service and that value to the community. So that was, where it was most valuable, is just like taking a step back to say, okay, let me make a list of the things that we need to look at. What do we need to revisit? What can we tweak to continue to grow and continue to provide the value to the community?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. So it's been about a year since we started that class, and a little bit over 6 months since we ended your cohort and your session. Looking back on it now, what do you think was the most valuable part of the program?
I would say the board, excuse me, the board formation policy part of it, because I feel like can't I'm only speaking for myself, but I feel like a lot of people just don't really know or understand the importance of it as from a legal perspective, from an IRS perspective of like, this entity belongs to the public, and you need to have that oversight and, the conflict of interest with having, directors on the board and things like that. So I feel like that was the most helpful to see like how it should be done, to do it right. And again, that was something that was like, okay, we need to look at this. And then I would say secondly, also the finance part was helpful. I have a good background on finance based on, working at CPA firms for about 8 years. So I knew a lot already, but there were some things that was still helpful to know again, just from a legal perspective, federally, state level, certain forms that need to be filed, things like that. So I would say, from a board perspective and then finance perspective, those were two of the most valuable lessons for me.
That's great. Yeah. And I guess if there's anybody who's sitting on the fence right now about whether or not they should commit to doing this class, because as you mentioned, it is in the evenings, you're giving up an evening a week to do this. What would you say to them about why they should consider doing that, giving up that time and taking this class?
Yes, I would say it's worth it. It was every other week, so it wasn't, every week, hour and a half. It was very straightforward, thorough. So you're getting in there, the content is there, and then, so that time is it's valuable. If you really care about, your nonprofit, you care about just growing and truly providing value and being a solid entity, then I would highly recommend it, because whether you're new or whether you've been in it for a while, there's still, like I said, I still got value from it, even though I was in the space for at least 5 years. There's definitely something to learn, and you're also surrounded by other people. So that was another thing, networking wise. I got to meet, other nonprofit founders and directors, that are passionate about it, and staying in touch with them, in the future. So from a networking perspective too, you may meet someone that could be, your next partner or your next grantor. So it's definitely valuable from a knowledge perspective, and then also from a networking perspective. And then just tapping into TCC, as an entity, tapping into their resources as well, to see, what all they have to offer too. So highly recommend it. Even
Awesome.
though it's in the evenings, it's worth it.
Yeah, I know it can
It's
feel
worth
tough
it.
at some point.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like that knowledge and networking. I'm a big fan of alliteration, and I like that that as your little tagline there. So don't be surprised if you hear that again. You
Yeah,
might.
no, I like it. I like
Yeah,
that. Knowledge
knowledge
and
and
networking.
networking. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for spending some time chatting with me today. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we sign off?
No, I mean, yeah, it was like I said, I'm grateful to Sentara, for the opportunity to do that, because honestly, I probably wouldn't have, because it's just one of those things where I know it's valuable, but the time commitment and the thought of school, going back to school, even though it's just a course. Yeah, so I'm grateful to Centera for like bringing this to my attention, and making sure that it was taken care of, at no cost. So definitely grateful for them. And grateful for you, for the knowledge and the course, and grateful to TCC for putting this on, and actually having a dedicated department for nonprofits to excel.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. And we wish you and full steam the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.